Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. I've got so much to show you today in stamp school. You know what? I'm just rolling with it. I've done this intro like 5 times. We're just gonna roll with it, guys. I'm gonna be using some of the vintage flower stamps from Altenew, which is a layering set of stamps, really fun to use, and a sentiment from another one of their sets, the painted butterflies. We're gonna use one sheet of 12 by 12 scrapbook paper, which will give us an envelope plus some stuff we can decorate on the inside of our card. We're gonna use half a sheet of cardstock scored in the middle, and we're going to use 3 different shades of green and red inks and also a black. Also, we're going to use the clear embossing ink that we used last week, so whatever you have for clear ink, or glycerin, it's totally fine. And we're going to throw something new in. We're going to use some chalk, and that could be a stick of chalk, it could be decorated chalk, it could be pan pastel, it could be eyeshadow for that matter. It doesn't really matter. And I am going to use a Stamp-A-Ma-Jig. I showed you how to use that before, but we're going to use it today because it's going to make our lives a lot easier. And this is just me playing around with a little idea that we're going to do today. So what I have here, and I'll explain. Remember the envelope tip that I gave you? So when you want to make a custom envelope, you measure your card corner to corner. A regular half a sheet of cardstock card will be 7 inches corner to corner. You add 1 inch to that measurement and cut a square, and that's how we'll make our envelope. So I just pre-cut that, and then you get these nifty leftover pieces that you can use to decorate your card. I'm going to set this aside right now, but I just wanted to explain why I have that there. Alright, so I've got some fingerprints on that. We're just going to pretend that didn't happen, and we're going to mosey on along just like we'll put you could put a piece of paper over that. One of those nifty scraps that could go over the little fingerprints that I have there. I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so with these layering stamps, you have this flower has 4 different layers, and you use different shades of the same color of ink. So like it could be pinks to reds, or different shades of purples, or whatever you want, different shades of yellows. So yellows and oranges or something. So I'm doing the bottom layer, which would be my lightest layer, in some pink. And I want to get that down here in the corner. Now I also stamped this shape on a piece, on a post-it note, and cut it out so I'd have a mask. We'll use that when we get to stamping the leaves. Now the next layer, I'm going to use a stamp positioner because it's really hard to line these up, I found during my first playing with these stamps. And I only have 3 shades of red ink, so I also need to do something to make that other shade that I'm going to need. So what I'm going to do is a stamping off technique. So I'm inking this up with my Ladybug Red, which is like kind of my medium red. And I'm going to stamp this on my clear imaging sheet for my stamp positioner because I had a really hard time lining it up on my card. So what you do is, remember, stamp it right down. Okay, then when I bring my card back, I can put the sheet on top. I can figure out exactly where it's supposed to stamp before I go and stamp. Okay, so then I can put my positioner back. Remember, you can make this out of some Legos. You can just make a corner out of Legos. That'll work just as well. And since I already stamped some of the ink off, I know it's going to be a little bit lighter than using it straight from the pad. So I'm just going to go ahead and stamp down. So I'm really doing a 2nd generation stamp because I didn't re-ink my stamp after I stamped on the imaging sheet. Okay, so that's lined up really well. Now the next layer is right here. So now I'm going to use this. I'm going to do it on my imaging sheet because I need to make sure I get it in exactly the right spot. So again, with that medium red, the Ladybug Red. This is just also a great tip if you don't have as many ink pads, if you need to stretch it, or if your ink pad is not exactly the color you want. Okay. Now before I stamp this on the paper, I'm going to ink it up again, okay, because I want to make sure I get a full charge of color there. So this is like our 3rd layer of color, even though we've only used 2 ink pads. So I'm going to line this back up here, figure out exactly. Notice how I didn't stick any of my stamps very well, very straight onto my block. Just gotta figure out where it goes. It can be a little confusing. Oh, I think it goes up like that. I think that's how it goes. If not, it looks good, so I'm going to go with it. And put my positioner back. And then, since I did put more ink on this, remember I inked it up after I stamped it on the clear sheet, I can stamp straight down and have it right where I want it. Now I've got 1 more layer to go. Okay, that's looking pretty good, so I'm going to do the exact same thing. I've got my, and you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, Lindsay, this is an awful lot of work. It kind of is, but it's such a pretty card, and it's 1 layer, so it's not really, it's really, you know, inexpensive to make. And you could do this assembly line style. And you know, if you're doing that, I wouldn't, just don't wipe off your sheet, just leave your sheet there until it's all set. Okay, and this is the dark red, the rhubarb stock. Got that Maine accent kicking in. And now I just gotta tip this around until I find exactly how it's supposed to line up. It takes take your time lining it up so you have so you know what you're doing. And get our, notice how I really did not stick my stamps onto my block in any sort of orderly fashion. I'm gonna re-ink that. But you know, if you did off stamping, you could really get 6 shades of ink from these 3 colors, which is kind of cool. Getting a lot of ink on the edges of that though. There we go. Okay. And that looks pretty good. That's our flower portion. I just want to bring it up so you can see the depth of the inking there. I think it's pretty. And I'm going to set that aside. I'll wash those stamps off in a minute. And now I'm going to put my mask down on the flower here. And I'm going to stamp my leaves, and I'm going to use these 3 different shades of ink, and I won't have to do any off stamping because I have 3 shades and I have 3 stamps, so it works out perfectly. I'm going to start with my new sprout, which is a very light green. Now I will apologize, I am looking at this at kind of an angle, so chances are I might not line this up perfectly. I'm not going to use my positioner for this because I don't think it's really necessary, but if I do get a little off, that would be why. You could use a positioner for this if you felt more comfortable with it. Completely up to you. And put that one over there, I think. And then our next layer, which I double mounted, I put them both on the same long block, just on separate sides. Using bamboo leaves for this. Hopefully I can get this lined up without sticking my head in there, because I have not done my hair today. It's kind of a frazzled mess. Oh, lined up pretty well. It's been so humid. It's just been humid. It's misty. I went and walked the dog, and it was just like a constant mist, like you're walking through a mist house in an amusement park. Oh shoot! I pressed that down before I was ready, so I just had to go with it. You got to do that sometimes. I set it on the paper before I was intending to, and tragedy, but I'm not worried about it. There we go. Ah, look at that. I didn't even try, and that one came out great. Okay, now we're going to do the final outline with our darkest green. Cover these up so I don't stick my elbow in it, because that is bound to happen. So if you don't have any of these inks, Altenew does have some sets that are designed to go with their stamps that are tiny like this, that aren't too pricey, but they don't have reinkers, and the Mementos do have reinkers, so I'm a little partial to stamp pads that you can get reinkers for. Okay, and we take that off, and we've got our lovely design. Isn't it lovely? Isn't it wonderful? Yeah, I'm no Stevie Wonder, but my stamping is wonderful! Don't you think? I think so. Well, they're gorgeous stamps, you know, you can't really mess them up. Okay, and I'm going to put that. You are awesome! Everything is awesome when you're stamping straight. Look at that. Woohoo! Okay, and now I am going to show you how to do a cool background, but first I'm going to wash my hands because I'm going to get ink on everything if I don't. Be right back. Alright, I wiped my hands off with a fresh baby wipe. That's probably as close to washing them as I need to do. And then I'm going to fold my card and just give it a good crease because I want this folded for this next step. So there's our lovely little card, except it looks awfully stark, doesn't it? Very, very stark there. So what we're going to do is stamp a background, but you're probably thinking, Lindsay, what, you just spent all that time on that gorgeous flower. You don't want to ruin that. No, I don't want to ruin it. So what I'm going to do is stamp with clear ink. And you're probably thinking that, you know, I've lost my mind and it's time for Lindsay to, you know, get some professional help. But trust me on this. It's going to be fine. It's going to be good. I am going to stamp right on over everything here. You can see a little bit of residual green ink on there because I did use green earlier with this, but I don't think it's going to hurt anything. And then I just want to get a little bit down there. and a little bit there. Hopefully there was enough ink on there to do all that. And now what we're gonna do is actually use some chalk, and this could be any chalk. Remember, like I said, could be your, you know, could be your eyeshadow, it could be a stick of chalk, could be pan pastels, doesn't really matter. What we're gonna do is we're gonna rub it over the paper only where we want our ink, because the chalk is only gonna stick to where we stamped. So we still get that lovely, it was just kind of like a little floral design. It was one of those ones free in like the craft magazine, the one from the UK that I used to get. Anyway, so I'm just adding a little bit of chalk to that design with a makeup sponge. I'm going to use a little bit of that green too, that's pretty. And that way you can totally control where it goes. You can put a background in. It's really soft and pretty and subtle and really foolproof. I just love this technique. I call it faux masking. It probably has a name. Popping pastels, I guess, is what Stampin' Up would call this, because they do a lot of that technique. But I just think it's a great way to add a little bit something to your artwork. So there we have a very quick and easy card. I probably should have used a stamp that was a little bit bigger, so I wouldn't have got that little seam there when I stamped, but I'm fine with it. Okay, so I cut my paper, so we're going to take this and we're going to make our envelope, but this time instead of having the pattern on the outside, I want that to be on the inside so the card looks lined. So I'm just putting my paper down like a diamond, and I'm centering my card up. And just make sure it's fairly centered, and I'm going to fold over my first edge. Then I'm going to just sneak it out just a little bit before I fold my second one, so I have wiggle room. And then I'm going to fold up the bottom and the top. And I like to notch out the edges here. Snip, snip. You don't have to do that, but I think it makes it a lot easier to get the card in and out. So then it looks like we have a beautiful lined envelope. Now I want to just kind of share some ideas on how you might decorate your envelope to make it look a little special on the outside. Now the thing I like about the stamps that I used is that it came with a kit with lots of stamps of different sizes. My fingers are a little dirty again, but there, see, isn't that pretty? Just that lined envelope, you know, you stick that in there and you know, you got all of that nice and pretty. And then I've got this stamp here that I really like, and it's by Judikins. You can see that it says, "Enclosed is a handmade card. As such, it deserves a place of honor and respect in your home and should not be casually discarded like an ordinary store-bought card." And I just love that stamp. I found that from Judikins a couple of years ago, and I just love that. So that's what I like to stamp on the flap here. And then on the other side, you have lots of opportunities. See how nice that stamps, because it's rubber. Stamps really crisp. On the other side, I'm just going to open that as well, it dries. You can stamp over here. You could stamp like any of the, you could stamp those flowers over here. You could stamp over here. I try to avoid the top third and the center, so I have room to write, but it's a great option for doing your stamping. And just a second, I'm going to show you how to do the insides. I actually ended up stamping one of the little flowers from the set, and then I grabbed my splattery stamp set from Rubbernecker, and I'm adding a few more of those in there too. I just think it gives it a really cool look. It hints as to what's in the card, and it's just a little something special. You know there's not a bill in that envelope, so I think that's really fun. Okay, so for the inside of the cards, we made our envelope and we had a couple pieces left over. Well, I took the shorter of the two pieces and I trimmed it long enough to go on the inside and to pretty much give me a perfect mat, and I'm going to adhere that down. Now, mind you, do as I say, don't as I never decorate the insides of my cards. I mean, rarely ever. Sometimes I'll put a post-it note in there and write my notes so somebody can reuse the card, but I very rarely actually decorate it. So there's my dirty little secret there. In case you were wondering, I'm definitely not the hostess or the mostest or the most perfect crafter. In fact, I'm so unperfect that I've lost the spattery stamp I had in my hand 3 seconds ago. Oh, I hate it when I do that. And then as soon as I pause the camera, I find it again. It's ridiculous. But you know what I think I'm going to do? Just kind of ink the edges here of this little, see, and then I took the other piece that was left. This was like one of the offcuts from my envelope. I'm gonna decorate the back here just to give it a little bit of a of a border here. And I want to do that little speckly stamp. Oh, here it is. Just with some pink, because that pink is so soft. It's such a light color that you can totally write over it, but it does give it a really just natural, fun look. I love this set by Rubber Nerd. I mean, why is this simple thing I'm doing using more materials than like my more elaborate cards? I think there's something wrong with this. It's crazy. Actually, it's funny. I've been looking for one thing and I've lost something in my studio. And I can't find it, and it drives me nuts because I can usually find anything within 30 seconds, and I've been looking for something for all week. Some of you know what it is, I bet, because you follow my blog. But so I've like been tearing into things, and I'm finding all these treasures that I forgot I had. So I'm finding all kinds of interesting new things you'll probably see in upcoming tutorials, because it's either like use it up or throw it out, Lindsay, seriously. Okay, so so there's our card, and there's our inside. You could decorate a little bit more in the corners, but I wanted to have plenty of room to write. I think that's kind of pretty. And on the back, you can have special stamps made with your name. You could just get any of these kind of like postage style stamps, like air mail, handle with care, special delivery. That would be nice. That was in the $2 bin at AC Moore. But this set right here, I've had this for quite a long time. You can tell it's turned yellow. I've had it for so long. But these are all designed for the back of the cards. And I think I like that one. That's like handcrafted with love, or from the craft room of, or designed but with love by, or 100% guaranteed original. I think I'll stamp that one. I think that's pretty cute. Or look, a little barcode. Oh, little barcode. This is just for you. I'm gonna do that one. That's awfully cute. But this is a really fun stamp set. It's from EK Success. I'm not sure if it's still available, but you know, with eBay and everything, you can usually find pretty much anything these days. But also, if you use like one brand of stamp, some stamp companies require you to put like a copyright mark on the back, and if so, they usually provide those. Some of them provide them free of charge. Other ones you can like make, I hope that's inked up good. You can have them made, like copyright 2015 or whatever. You can have ones made with your name on it. But there, I stamped that just for you with a little barcode. I think that's kind of cute. And it can go in our custom envelope with our funny Judikins stamp. I love that. And that's some ideas. Those are some ideas for the insides, backs, and envelopes. So Innies, Envies, and Backsies. There you go. I want to thank you so much for watching Stamp School. If you have any questions for next week, let me know. Leave them in the comments below. And if I don't get right back to you in the comments, then it may show up in a video. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Share it with your friends. And until next time, happy crafting.